How about the military? Last March 10, just as the ban on appointments to key positions took effect, the president named the former commander of her presidential security group as Armed Forces Chief of Staff.
Well, that's always a possibility, especially, well, that General Bangit and the new head of the army, General Mapagu, have bypassed more senior generals in the armed forces, like General Ferrer. It's a prerogative of the president, but seniority is a highly valued factor in the appointment of the chief of staff and the service commanders.
The chief of police, PNP Director General Jesus Versosa, meantime says he won't back the new AFP chief on anything illegal. Former Arroyo ally and House Speaker Jose de Venecia says that if no president and vice president is proclaimed and the Senate and House leadership remain vacant, the military might take over the government.
So by June 13, no presidential winner is proclaimed. By July 1st, our friend General Bangit, as Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, will assume military rule. And you cannot blame him because there is no civil power.
Last Monday, around 5,000 soldiers and police held an interfaith prayer rally led by AFP Chief Bangit and PNP Chief Versosa. It was a show of force with a single message to their ranks: stay off politics.
This May 10, we will ensure that the people's voice is clearly heard. Whoever wins in this election, we will respect the will of the people.
Fugitive rebel Captain Nicanor Faldon had earlier told ABS-CBN some in the military will choose sides when it's time to choose sides.
Kung ang titingnan natin yung greed ng some political personalities, greed for power, saka yung weakness ng some officials of the government, sa armed forces at saka police, saka sa COMELEC na nangyari noong 2004, meron possibility na magkaroon tayo ng failure of election. Dapat talaga labanan nito, tutulan. Kasi do we want another 6 years of hell governance kagaya ng binigay sa atin ni GMA? Basta talagang hindi malinaw na malinis ang pagkagawa nitong eleksyon at nagkaroon ng bahid ng pandaraya, lalabas ang tao. Kailangan yun yung masunod, yung kagustuhan ng tao. Now, if this will, sinalaulan ng ibang mga tao, ibang grupo, yun na nga, magkakaroon ng people power. I believe men in uniform like me does not need encouragement. They themselves have already made up their mind.
Number one, a holdover president.
Former COMELEC Chief Christian Monzon disagrees. He believes the military, the COMELEC, and the Supreme Court will not take part in a grand conspiracy to keep the president in power. He says his sources told him the military will not meddle.
The overwhelming sentiment, I am informed, is against any unconstitutional moves, especially that of a holdover president.
Unlike his predecessor, Jaime Cardinal Cid, Archbishop of Manila Gaudencio Cardinal Rosales finds talk of people power quite disconcerting. He vows that it's one adventure the church will never support.
No, for heaven's sake, there is the Constitution. All these are covered in the provisions of the Constitution. Remember, at that time, there was a dictator. This is crazy, crazy.
But Bishop Oscar Cruz says if democracy is threatened, he will not hesitate to march in the streets.
Handa akong kumilos kung sino ang kasama ko, kung hindi naman sasama iba, okay lang. That is a matter of conviction. Mahirap lang talaga pag nakita mong ang bagay-bagay ay wala sa lugar, tapos para kang wala nakikita, wala sinasabi, walang ginagawa, mali din naman yun.
Soliman says the president is desperate, and this is both political survival and perpetuation for Arroyo.
Yung political survival, ibig sabihin, yung mananalo sa eleksyon ay isang taong pwedeng makausap at magkaroon ng isang kasunduan na proteksyonan siya. Yung perpetuation, yun naman ay ang senaryo na siya pa rin ang may kapangyarihan sa nasasabi ng maraming analyst na failure of election, no proclamation ng presidente at vice-presidente at senado. Dahil kung magkakaroon nga ng failure of election and no proclamation for president, vice president, and senators, siya ang magiging acting president sapagkat sinasabi na nila na siya ang pwedeng mahalal na Speaker of the House.
Sa presinto ng Sampaloc, Manila, nag-testing ng PCOS machine. Pagpasok ng papel, tila barado. Nang pumasok at lumabas ng sample ballot, nagtaka mga poll watcher, residente at PPCRB ni isang pangalan ng mayor na ibinoto sa sample, di binasa ng machine. 10 ang bumoto sa mock elections na ito para sa final PCOS testing.
Parang may daya yung machine eh. Kasi iba-iba lumalabas eh.
Paano mo nasabi na iba-iba?
Yung binoto namin, puro wala.
Subok pa lang pero palpak na ang bilang. Yan ang resulta ng COMELEC testing ng precinct count optical scan o PCOS machine sa 13 bayan at isang lungsod sa Batangas ngayong araw. Isa sa mga lugar kung saan nagkaroon ng testing ang Lodlod Elementary School sa Lipa City. Ikinagulat ng mga guro na Board of Election Inspectors ng magkaibang resulta ng bilang ng mga PCOS machines at ng mano-mano nilang bilang. Ang mga miyembro ng Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting o PPCRV na binantayan ng testing, kinabahan tuloy.
Medyo nababother din kami kasi parang it's May 3 na, then May 10, parang napakaliit na lamang ng panahon para ayusin yung mga conflicts na tulad niyan. So parang gahol na gahol talaga sa oras.
7 days before elections, PCOS machines being tested all over the country were counting the votes incorrectly for the local candidates while there was no error for national bets. Former Energy Secretary Angelo Reyes barged into a press briefing being held by COMELEC officials, demanding that heads should roll. PCOS machines in Pasig failed to read the votes for his son, a candidate in Taguig City.
This is not acceptable. We are playing with fire here. We are bringing this country to the brink, to the edge. Somebody's got to be responsible for this. We demand from COMELEC an exhaustive investigation, and people responsible must be hanged.
COMELEC officials explained the problem was traced to defective memory cards.
This error was not a malicious one. It did not favor any particular individual or any particular party. Votes were not counted or miscounted based purely on their location on the ballot, on their position on the ballot, and not whether they are part of a particular party or so. So it is definitely not a malicious error, and it will be fixed in time for the election.
A nationwide recall of the memory cards was ordered, while more than 76,000 cards were sourced locally and abroad.
I want to continue giving you details about the plan that is being deployed currently. Last night we already started redeploying or getting some of the CF cards from the hubs. So basically these cards are now on their way back to Manila.
5 days before the elections, officials rejected calls for a postponement of the elections.
Postponement is not an option.
It seems President Arroyo has all the strategic pieces in place. A judiciary who may give her the mantle of legitimacy. A military who at the very least will not take sides. And a Congress who will help her chart a new future for herself and for the country. When we come back, we talk about the crisis of confidence in the COMELEC amid the memory card fiasco.